Day. As we approach the holiday of Purim, one of the most fascinating storylines and narratives within the Megillas Esther is the villainy of Haman. To understand the unique nature of his insanity, of his maniacal drive to wipe out every last Jew. And that obsession is summarized within a succinct phrase, V'chol zeh einenu shaveh li, that Haman states that despite his wealth, despite his immense popularity, despite the fact that he is second, if not the most powerful person within the world right now, all of this is deemed utterly worthless if he can't get one lowly Jew to bow down to him. Where do we see the obsession of Haman play out as the true definition of his evil? There's a beautiful Yalkut Shimoni also within the Pirkei of Rabbi Eliezer that wants to know, where did Haman find a piece of wood long enough to use as a gallows, to hang the Jews that would be 50 amos in height? And the Yalkut Shimoni states that Haman's son went on a field trip, and he came back from Har Arat, where he had uncovered the remains of Noach's teva. He uncovered the remains of an object which did have a piece of wood that large in size indeed. And he schlepped this piece of wood home to his father, and he said, "Dad, you got to see what I have. I have it in my backyard. It's 50 amos in length." And he brought it home, and from that, Haman fashioned the very device which he would use to annihilate and wipe out the Jewish people for once and for all. And the question is, what's the significance of this bizarre agadata? And I think that if you understand Haman's mania as having to have everything, having to have every last person bow down to him, adore him, adulate him, to look down and bow down to him, if you understand that that is Haman's obsession, then you understand why it was fitting that Haman's son brought him the gift of a piece of wood from Noach's teva. After all, the only time in history that we ever had anyone gather all of something, every single species in the planet, was gathered by Noach. Noach was the only one in history to gather every type of animal. Every zoo in the world has a specialty. Some specialize in certain aviary creatures, some specialize in certain mammals and certain reptiles. But the zoo that Noach built aboard that boat had everything. And Haman looked oddly, in a perverse way, at Noach and said, "This is the kind of person I want to be, an absolutely dedicated to my cause. I will not make one compromise. I will not be missing one single Jew." In 1944, July 19th, the Germans began rounding thousands of Jews that remained in the islands of Greece, Rhodes and Kos. Anyway, they made a several-hour detour during the 8-day journey. The ships stopped suddenly on Leros. And there they made a stop, and to the surprise and the shock of the inhabitants there and to some of the Nazis themselves, the ship picked up the sole resident, the sole Jew of the island of Leros. To make an hour detour out of a long journey, hours-long detour, to pick up one Jew, you have to be obsessed. You have to come from a mentality of V'chol zeh einenu shaveh li, and that is the evil nature of Haman. Now we understand when Chazal say, what is the source of Haman in the Torah? The source, the Gemara in Chulin tells us, Daf Kuf Lamed Tes, Amud Beis, is the pasuk, Hamin ha'etz asher tzivisicha leviltiach chol mimenu achalta. Did you, Adam and Chava, eat from the tree that I told you not to eat from? What is that really about? Adam and Chava were given instructions. Everything is yours. The world is your oyster. You may pluck from every tree in the world. You can enjoy anything as the dominant force in the world. You are the Baal HaOlam, except for one tree that you can't touch. There is only one thing that you're limited, that you're restricted from access to. And Adam said, well, if that's the one thing I can't have, that's what I want. V'chol zeh einenu shaveh li. That tree, Hamin ha'etz asher tzivisicha leviltiach chol mimenu, the one thing I told you not to eat from, that's the source of Haman. The unique nature of his obsession, of his villainy, of his evil nature, is that he has to have everything. That mad obsession is the type of obsession that can lead to evil, chaos, and destruction. And we have to fight against it. To accept the Ribono Shel Olam's dominion over the world means to say that he has granted me unfettered access to so many pleasures in the world. But there are a few things that he has told me that are off limits. So it means to live a halachic lifestyle. It means to live in a life where you don't have everything, because I accept HaKadosh Baruch Hu as being on top of me. And if he says you can have this and you can't have this, that's what it means to be a God-fearing person. And that's ultimately the way we fight Amalek and Haman in a world in which we don't have the biological descents of Haman in front of us. We fight it by opposing madness and obsession and accepting in a humble way that God is the ultimate Baal of the universe. Thank you very much.